My name is Greg Lee, and I own a small video game studio based in Dundee called Team Terrible. I'm originally from Northern Ireland. I came over here because I always loved video games, and Dundee has this really rich background of a lot of games made there. Living in Dundee, you're on the footsteps of the Highlands in Scotland. Where I come from back in Ireland is in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. Dundee's a little bit bigger than the village that I grew up in, but I still have this access to one of the most beautiful countries in the world right outside my door. I love living on the coast. I love seafood. It's just somewhere that felt very much like Ireland outside Ireland. Me and my partner Louise, whenever it's good weather, we love going outside and experiencing some of nature, going out, meeting friends. We love traveling, but a big thing that we really enjoy doing is just creative activities together. My background's art, but Louise recently has got into a whole load of various hobbies. We've even joked that we're going to start to make furniture together because she loves all the sort of weaving stuff and I've got into woodworking. So we like doing things that involve each other and create things. Baby in Yellow is a Lovecraftian babysitting game where you take the place of one of a few different babysitters that have to come and look after this demonic baby, I guess. One of my favorite things about the game is the fact that it's the monster and the thing you're looking after are the same thing. So normally in horror games you have the person you're looking after being one person and the monster chasing you, whereas our game's a bit more like you're holding a live grenade. The thing that you're caring for is also the thing that's trying to kill you, and I think that adds an extra sort of element to the game. The original release was a game jam, which we made in a very, very short period of time that went viral. Game jams are making a game in a really, really short period of time. So you normally have anywhere between 48 hours to a week, although they can be longer and shorter than that. Normally you get a theme and you have to make a game according to that theme. And they're really, really fun and very stressful at times, but they get you to experience the entire development of a game cycle, which could take 3 or 4 years in one weekend, which I think is invaluable. And the Baby in Yellow was made in one of these game jams. It was the Game Maker's Toolkit game jam. A friend of ours had just had a kid, and it was kind of a way to sort of poke a little bit of fun at him. And when working on it, we started tying in some horror elements to it, and the game kind of came together. And by the end of the jam, we knew we had something special, even though it was very rough around the edges, because in a game jam, it's very rapid prototyping. You can't be too precious. You have to really find the fun very quickly. And we got very lucky with the Baby in Yellow. So we don't consider the game finished yet. We had a story to tell, but we didn't have the capacity to tell it in one go to the quality we wanted to. So over time, we started slowly adding to that story and building on it. And next year in 2025, we hope it'll be the final game actually done. Because as much as I love it, I've been working on it for quite a while now. And I want to move on to other things. We're working at Rockstar at the time, which is obviously a very prestigious company that pays very well and looks after the employees. So the thoughts of quitting that to go and work somewhere else was scary. But our game blew up so quickly that whenever we monetized it, we were making as much as we were in our jobs. So that let us quit our jobs pretty safely. Whenever the PS2 was out, I must have been 14 or 15, I think. And it was Time Splitters, and they added a map editor. And I remember me and a bunch of friends, and we had a link cable, so we had 2 PlayStations attached together, so you could have up to 8 people playing at the same time. And I spent most of my weekends coming up with game modes for them. I mean, I didn't realize this at the time, but that's game design, that's game development. Obviously, it wasn't enforced by the game, but we were all willing to play by the rules, like you would a board game. And it wasn't for years later that I look back at that and go wow, I was the only one doing that. With my group of friends, everyone was engaging with it, but I guess that was the first thing that I probably designed as a game and shared with people, and that was really transformative to me because I got to experience something I created with other people, and that's one of the reasons why I love what I do. I didn't really have a lot of direction in life. I loved art, I loved creating things, but I just didn't know what to do. And a random guy was like, I'm going to Scotland to make video games. And I was like, excuse me? That sounds incredible. And I just jumped on it and came over. But it was very much that on a whim of, I wasn't doing anything else. I wanted to do something meaningful and creative. And this was an opportunity that I genuinely didn't know existed. I didn't know you could go and make video games. I thought it was something only people in, Silicon Valley do. I didn't think it was something that I could do. Yeah, Team Terrible, I guess on the surface comes across as maybe we know exactly what we're doing and stuff, but at the end of the day, game development's a chaotic environment to live in. It's that thing of, no matter how good it's going, it's like the duck on the surface of the water looking so calm, and underneath it's the little legs going like crazy. We're very much like that. The goal has always been like, make our own stuff. I always refer to it as like creative independence. And whenever I worked in like some other studios, I was making someone else's games, and that just didn't appeal to me. I wanted to make my games. And now I get to do that. And as far as where this goes in the future, we're probably just going to keep doing this until we get tired and old. I mean, like, AAA, you're a small cog in a big machine, and indie's the other way around. Big cog, small machine. And I always found it weird whenever I was working on games that people recognized, like big multi-million-dollar games. People would, be like, "Oh my God, you worked on X, you worked on Y," and you got a lot more kind of like validation from people because everyone recognized it. But I never felt as much like I deserved it, because 9 times out of 10 you're specializing in something. You have a very, very small part in the game. Like, I made tire treads for a year, or I made trees for a year, or whatever it is that you're working on. Generally, unless you're very, very high up at some of these studios, you're not making as much of like an impact, because you physically can't, like, the sheer numbers there. Whereas now, even though a lot less people recognize the games that I work on, I'm way more proud, because I can point at it and be like, yeah, that was us, that we did that.